It's okay to be a man.
It's not okay. It's necessary. What the hell are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up. These men, they're doing impossible things. They're under the streets, working on the sewers. They're up on the power lines in the storms and the rain. They're keeping this impossible infrastructure functioning. This thing that works in a miraculous manner. They work themselves to death. And often, literally, the gratitude for that is sorely lacking, especially among the people who should be most grateful. You see university professors, especially of the social justice bent, they take everything they have for granted, failing to understand entirely that there's a massive infrastructure of unbelievably hardworking, solidly laboring, working-class men breaking themselves in half on a regular basis, making sure that everything that always breaks works.
Welcome to another episode of Relate to You. We are so excited to be with you guys again for another episode.
Yay!
I'm sure you guys missed us last week. But you know, life has been happening to your Relate to You co-hosts, you know, like we're both, you know, just living
Our best lives.
Yes, but we're happy to be back. And today, as you have seen from the intro of this video, we are going to be talking about men.
Yes.
And what men mean to us in terms of society and how society views them, but also why it has changed in the last couple of years, just how men are viewed and their importance. And so to break off a little bit, you know, from the meme or the reel that we saw, what did you get from it? What did you feel? Did you agree, disagree?
I completely agree. I think that in this time and age, in this society where we've made an idol almost of women and the feminine strength or whatever, I do think that we don't value men. We don't value what they do for us, for families, for the society to work. And I mean, he said so many things that I was just like, oh my God, you know, it's so true. But I do think that it's very sad that these men that in a way are, you know, by the grace of God, are allowed to make the infrastructure work, to make a society run. They don't get the recognition that they should. Right. And instead, we brought this idea of feminism, and we brought this idea of, but women need to be on top somehow. Right. Despite not being able to do sometimes half the work men do. So, yeah.
You agreed. For me, I agreed too. I think the main point of it was when she's saying, is it okay to be a man? And he says, it's not only okay, it's necessary. Yeah. I do believe that we live in a society that does not believe men are necessary. And not just in like society, but in the home, especially. And obviously, you know, there are women, single mothers who are incredible women, and they're doing the work of two, right? And because we see more single women or single moms, doing this more than you would see a single dad, like you don't have that a lot, you automatically assume, well, those kids survived, they're fine, like they didn't need the father. And not only in that, but you even see it in memes, you see it in reels. How many like videos don't we see about husbands that, you know, they go to the store and they need like a printout with pictures to shop, because the mom's like, I need you to go, you know, grocery shopping, but I need to tell you to the T how to get it, because sin mi ayuda no lo vas a hacer. Or you have examples of how dads are staying with the kids versus how mothers are with the kids, right? Then there's other examples of the mom knows everything of the kids' lives, down to the doctor's name, down to the diagnosis, down to the kids' best friends, down to everything, right? And then, you know, the dad is like asked, you know, hey, when's your kid's birthday? And they're like, So I think we see a lot of that. And because we see a lot of that, and again, social media is biased, you see women as overly capable, overly strong, overly working, and they are hardworking. But at the same time, it's like there's never highlights of all the things that men do.
Yeah.
And how much men bring value into the home. Now, I'm going to bring a little bit of my life experience into it because I grew up in a home that, yes, I had my father with me and present, but he wasn't the typical dad you would see, My older sisters, for the first 8 years of their life, they had a different father than what we grew up with. But I didn't grow up with that strong father going to work every day, providing for his family in the traditional way. I didn't grow up with even a strong father in the physically,
in the physical,
emotionally. Even my father would cry all the time. Like, he was a very emotional person. So all those stereotypes of what the father looks like, I didn't have. And my mom, because he was disabled, played that role a lot. But when he passed, I felt like my foundation, like it literally broke. It shattered. And it was something that was so, like, to me, it was honestly surprising. And I'm in a place now where I know I can say this without breaking down, but I had always grown up thinking, I hope I never lose my mom young.
Oh, I see.
Because to me, she was the strong parent.
Right.
She was
doing everything.
She taught me how to do practically anything, down to if I have to ask her questions about the mortgage, my mom knows. She's the person I would go to. How to write a check. She's the reason I have a job. I got a job in the first place. Ella siempre estaba detrás de, here, sign up here, there's doing this in your school, here, just in the way she could. She was there, and she would stay at home, and she cooked, and she, todo.
Wow.
So I always thought growing up, as much as I love my dad, I thought, I'm going to be okay because my dad is not the strong one. But if she leaves, if she's not here, I don't know how I'm going to survive that. When he passed, it was like that shock of, I didn't know how much of an imprint you had in my life. That's, I think, what happens right now in society. We don't believe that the father and the role of the father is necessary. We're like, okay, he goes to work, he comes back, and he does his responsibilities, but your kids can grow up fine without them, and it's okay. You're gonna be okay because mom, ella puede,
because she's capable.
And I see that in many ways, my dad, what he was for me was a reassurance. He was a reassurance. He may not have picked me up when I scraped my knee, but his prayers were there. That's what I had. I had his prayers. I had his, I've talked about this. There were so many times that he couldn't keep a conversation because of his condition, and he would get distracted or he would walk away. But if you were to ask him, where do you find this in the Bible? Or tell me, where can I look up a verse or a story about fear, how to deal with that? Boom, down to the scripture. That's what he represented for me, right? So my question is, why do you think that has, how through generation, through time, it has almost seemed like we're okay without them. Like, we're going to be fine without them. Like, where did we lose men's importance?
I think, this is a faith-based podcast, and I think it all has to go back to God. It all has to go back to what is supposed to happen. And I do think what is supposed to happen, we're supposed to arrive to a society that is broken, that is dismantling, that is destroying itself from the inside out. And I think that's what's happening with America. I think I recently read a book called We Will Not Be Silenced. And it talks about all the ways the enemy's using to destroy America. And not just America, but this just goes to any society. that is, but, now America is the biggest society. But, so it talks about how they're using, the LGBTQ ideology. They're using this language ideology of like,
Pronouns.
Pronouns, exactly, pronouns. But it all started with feminism, really. That was the first ideology that we started telling people this is right. We started telling women you're capable of doing, a lot. You're capable of doing what men do. You're capable, and then that started with World War II, I believe, or even one. We had a shortage of men here. So what does the government do? Oh, we need workers. Children is not gonna cut it. Right. We need workers. So now it's like let's figure out a way to tell women, hey, come and work. Let's make it so that they think, oh, we need to do this. So propaganda. They started telling women, you can come and work. Your husband is out there, risking his life, but you can work like him. You can support the nation like he does. Come and work. So now por eso se inventaron los pantalones. Para decirle a las mujeres como un hombre, vístete como un hombre para que puedas hacer lo que un hombre. People don't think that fashion has just like language.
It does.
It does. Everything impacts us. So now you're telling women you can dress like a man, you can work like a man.
Rosie the Riveter.
Exactly. You're telling women. And then no se mueve solamente ahí. Se viene the revolution of contraception, contraceptives, que diga. ¿Y qué pasa ahí? Ahora le estás diciendo a women, just like men, you can have casual sex and there's not going to be any repercussions because now you can, there's not going to be an unplanned pregnancy or an unwanted pregnancy. Entonces, todo el tiempo es this narrative of telling women, you can be like men, you can work like men. So ya no nada más era work like men, ahora era you can dress like men. Y ahora es you can be as promiscuous like quote unquote men, right?
Abortion.
And then, exactly. And so now, as we all know, because we're all educated, is any method of contraceptive 100% efficient? No, it isn't. So, ¿qué pasa? But don't worry, woman. You can enjoy your life the way, quote unquote, men do, because abortion is now an option. And so now, si tienes una unwanted pregnancy or unplanned pregnancy, there is a solution. So you can continue on to live the life you want to live, just like men do. And so I do think we can really go on for days about where it all started and how it all began y todo eso, but I do think those are the major things that have impacted how we see women now and how we see men now. So now you have a society that has attributed is telling society, you have a society that is telling us feminine features are good. Feminine features are the ideal. And what happens is that now you create men that are effeminate, that are, now, I'm not saying that a man that has emotional intelligence is a feminine man, but what I am saying is that now you have men that are saying, oh no, I believe women's rights. I believe that women are right all the time. I believe that we should believe women all the time. I believe that women are the virtuous gender,
Queens.
And that we're queens and slay or whatever. Y la verdad no es esa. La verdad es we as women, we're just as capable of lying, treachery, conniving. There's a lot of things that women are that aren't good. And I think we're in a society where it's like we cannot do wrong. Mm-hmm. We cannot do wrong. Y ahora hemos creado hombres que no quieren ser hombres anymore. Porque ya no hay un incentive to be a man anymore. And I feel like now if you're a man, it's like, why?
If you're in the traditional sense, what they look like, strong,
protective,
non-emotional, protective, very masculine. Even the word masculine has been something that's like,
that now people see it as a bad thing,
Yeah.
And I think I like how you brought your own experience with a father figure. I, on the other hand, I didn't have a father figure at all in my home, right? I grew up with a mother. I grew up, however, with a mother that was very masculine in her approach of raising us. She was a provider more than she was a mother. She was a protector more than she was nurturing. So my sisters and I, we quote unquote grew up with a father figure more than a mother figure. and however, even then, you can see it in all my sisters. We still needed a father figure. My mom did a wonderful job, and it's thanks to her that we're not part of other statistics, right? That often happens with children that are born in, or not born, but they're raised in single parent homes. So I thank God for my mother, and I thank God for giving us that kind of mother.
Right.
But the statistics don't lie. Children that grow up in single mother homes, they're more likely to fail in a lot of aspects of their lives than children who grow up in single father homes. And I think that's very interesting. And I think why it is interesting is, one, because we have now we've idolized the mother figure as the, oh my God, la mamá puede hacer todo. Exactly what you're saying. Puede trabajar, puede esto, puede aquello, puede el otro. And I agree, women can do it all, and there's examples of that, but nothing to the best extent. They're just good at handling everything, but they're not good at something in particular, And my mom, I can tell you right now, my mom was good at handling everything, but there were aspects where she lacked. Porque you cannot fulfill two roles. It's just not possible. And so what happens is that when you have single mothers, nowadays what I've seen is that they're looking for the husband that's going to provide. And in that looking for the husband that's going to provide, you have mothers that, they've had 3 boyfriends, 5 boyfriends, failed marriages, and kids de todos. And now it's massive. It's just a lot, And that's the statistics. It's not me saying, pulling information out of nowhere. No, this is statistics. What happens in father homes is that fathers, for the most part, tend to say, okay, me toca no enfocarme en nothing else but my kids.
Singular.
Because they have a different mindset, They're singular people. They think of just one goal. They're goal-oriented, and they're thinking, tengo que sacar mis hijos adelante. And so what happens is because they're goal-oriented, no se enfocan en y quién los va a criar. No se enfocan en quién los va a criar. Again, they are going to lack in other aspects, like the nurturing aspect, because that's the mom, the role of the mother. They're going to lack in other areas. But for the most part, when it comes to success in life, when it comes to life skills, fathers tend to be better at teaching that than mothers do.
Right.
However, this is just on average. You have obviously cases where you have mothers that are doing an excellent job, but you also have cases of mothers that are doing a very, very poor job. Right. Just on average, again, you have fathers that are not there present, that they're gone or whatever. They're not doing anything for their kids, but then you have fathers that are exceeding at that. They're very, very good. So I think it's just, coming back to the video at the beginning, I think that we're thinking that because women are just better at everything out of nowhere, better than men, we started to devalue men, not just as fathers, but men in general. Yeah. How many videos don't we see of men that aren't chivalrous anymore? Mm-hmm. And not because, one day un hombre dice, ¿sabes qué? Hoy me voy a levantar sin ganas de hacer nada por nadie. No. I think it's because we as women, and especially the feminist movement, has done a very good job at telling men, you don't have to do that because we're not going to appreciate it. I don't
need you to open the door for me. I don't need you to carry this for me. I am fine. I am capable. And yes, women can, open the door for themselves, but it's like a dance.
Yeah.
It's like a waltz, you know. We can do this beautifully if we allow someone to lead.
Yeah.
And obviously, because we are faith-based, we believe that that role falls under the man, the head of the household. There's something that just works. There's a symphony that just works when the man leads the home. And that's where you see that, wow, this is all put together. It just works. And that is why men are, like exactly what you said earlier, you know, they're coming out in ways that they're not men anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because there's this constant push of, you know, the less masculine you are, the better.
Yeah.
The more emotional you can be as a man, the more obliging you are as a man, the better, you know, and completely loses what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for me, it's like, it's even come into the church. You know, I think sometimes, you know, and I think we've also talked about it with different guests that we've seen in our show, is that sometimes, you know, we see the women be the first ones to go to the altar, the first ones to pour their hearts out and estar allí, you know, con todo. And men are still in the pews or not even there at all. And it's not because men don't have needs or don't want a relationship with the Lord, but it to me that just proves how much society has affected, even in the church, that nos cuesta encontrar líderes que son hombres. Nos cuesta encontrar hombres que se sientan capacitados
para liderar.
Para liderar. Yeah. Like, you don't see that anymore, the strong, bold, you know, confident men that used to exist at one point. Now it's very like, bueno, lo que tú digas.
Oh, tell me why. It's just, I mean, there's a word in Spanish for it, un mandilón, ¿verdad? And I think, pero here's the funny thing about society. You know, we come up with these constructs, right? These social constructs of el mandilón. And that is also seen as bad. So, ser un mandilón es seen as bad. Pero también ser un hombre masculine, you know, where you want to serve, que tiene palabra, que es respetable, íntegro, o sea, formal, también es malo. Entonces, ¿qué quiere la sociedad, verdad? Entonces, at that point, es que no es lo que quiere la sociedad, es qué es lo que quiere Dios. Y Dios quiere lo que estás diciendo, un hombre que lidere, un hombre que diga, aquí se va a hacer Dios, no mi ley, no la ley de mi esposa, se va a hacer la ley de Dios. Y por eso es que yo creo que todo esto es el enemigo trabajando intensamente para hacerle creer a los jóvenes que ya no necesitan ser hombres, que ya no necesitan tener esas aspiraciones de líder, de yo quiero ser pastor, quiero ser ministro. Porque ponte a pensar, ¿cuáles van a ser los pastores de nuestros hijos? You know? Entonces el enemigo está diciendo, no, si quito a este niño ahorita, si quito a este muchacho ahorita, si les pongo en su cabeza, turns out I don't have to be chivalrous, turns out I don't have to be kind, turns out I don't have to be of service to no one.
To anything.
To anyone. And that should be good. Entonces, pienso yo que también where we go wrong is that we keep forgetting our roles. We keep forgetting that God created us with a purpose individually. A la mujer nos creó para ser a certain way y al hombre lo creó para ser a certain way. I believe, y esto lo leí en el libro The Art of Loving, I believe that women were created to love, to be loving, to give that unconditional love as mothers. That's why we're more nurturing. That's why we're more, you know, we need to be and live in our feminine spirit, in a way, in our feminine origin. That's our design, to be feminine, to be nurturing, to be loving, to be kind in that sense. And men, because they're created to be leaders, I feel they were created to be more rational. They were created to be more singular, you know, more goal-oriented, to be of service. Entonces, cuando I feel que cuando le dices a un hombre, no me abras la puerta porque yo puedo, le estás quitando su diseño, que es ser de servicio. No, pues si no te la estoy abriendo porque sé que no puedes, te la estoy abriendo por servicio. O sea, nunca ha sido porque I know you can't do it. It's out of service. And I think that's why I think that's the middle ground. I'm not doing anything for you because I know that you can't. I'm doing it because I know that I want to be of service. Y es eso, I feel like that's the word. That's the silver lining in all of this. It's service. No queremos servir, pero cuando no nos sirve nos enojamos.
Como mujeres, and I think Eve is a perfect example. You know, the Lord tells her, your desire will be for your husband. In a way, your desire will your struggle is going to be to accept the fact that you need to be led. That in your purpose and in your creation, that you are meant to be led. That is in the best way how you're going to act.
Right.
And I think as women, we struggle with that. We struggle with wanting to be led because women are we're quick and we're constantly like, no, I think we can do this better and we can do it this way and doing that way. And not every woman is the same, but a lot of women also tend to panic and tend to be very emotional with their decision making.
Yeah.
Whereas men, because they were created in a way to be able to act in a moment of distress in a war situation, they're just, we got to get out. We need to do this. We need to act this way. And I think that as women, we have made it a bad thing to accept to be led. We've made it almost like it's a pride issue now. It's now of like, no, I'm fine. I don't need help. I don't need that. It's fine. I can decide for myself. And it's also letting go of that control of, I'm going to trust that my husband is going to make the right decision. And I'm going to speak from transparency. For me, I love my husband. He's an amazing man. But yes, there are a lot of moments where I'm like, me tengo que quedar callada, because, there are moments where it's like, I know this isn't going to work out. I know it's not. But he's the man of the house. And he's going to lead us. But I'm not going to kill his spirit. And I'm not going there. I remember there was like a counselor or person that was saying, don't ever puncture a man's jugular. And so it's like, okay, regardless of whether I think I'm right or wrong, if after the discussion, this is what he's decided, I'm gonna stand by him.
Right.
I'm gonna stand by him. Now, when he's wrong, if that's how it worked out, I'm not gonna be like, pues,
te dije.
No sabes. Yo te dije. Because that is what happens when I'm not gonna lead next time. And now, when I need him to lead, because I am those women that panic in a moment of distress. Well, last time I was wrong. You lead.
Since you know it all,
and I don't want to lead, and that's the problem with women. Cuando nos conviene, queremos estar en la posición,
100%.
y cuando no, we're like, no, that's why you're there. Same thing with the like, today I want to open my door. Today I don't need your help. I don't need you to be there. Blah 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 blah. But why didn't you get me flowers?
Yeah,
it's Valentine's Day. Why weren't you romantic? Why didn't you think of this? Like, you want them to treat you as a woman, pero no te quieres dar de ver como una mujer que necesita un hombre.
Right.
So I definitely think that, it also has a lot to do with our response.
Yeah.
When we are in interactions with men, from, whenever your interactions are with men, those are the moments that you can build or destroy a person's spirit. Whether it's a brother, a brother-in-law, a cousin, or lo que sea, we're in constant interactions with men.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments where you could really build someone with just being able to say, okay, you know what? All right.
Yeah. Y no nada más, I mean, I think que también going back to the video, we also forget that there are legit jobs out there that we as women, we would never. I don't doubt que hay mujeres que they're working in construction, and women that are working in the
of course,
firefighters, in the sewer, or drainage, whatever system, todo eso. I don't doubt it. Women engineers, which by the way, they're going up in numbers. We have a lot more females that are going for higher education than men. But But at the same time, there are very, very hard jobs out there that a lot of women would not be able to perform at the same level. And I think that's a sore spot for a lot of women. They don't want to, because I'm also a woman, we don't want to accept the fact that
We have limitations.
we have limitations. We are different. We were built different.
Physiologically. We don't even want to accept it.
Exactly. Entonces, you know, I think que también, for example, I feel like even that has lost respect. Even that of like, I feel like prior to Jordan Peterson, which we've already shared with you guys that we listened to him a lot. Prior to him, I don't think I've ever thought about, how important men are to society. You know, I don't think I've ever, I mean, I figure that men were the ones that built, you know, our society. And I never thought it was a bad thing. But the way he talks about how much we don't think about it, it was like, that is so true. You know, yo nada más llego a un building y digo, qué a gusto y qué bonito. Pero I don't ever stop to think, you know what? Manly hands built this, or, you know, men built this, and or los hombres que se meten, you know, men that have, ¿cómo le dicen? Men that have, what are trades?
Right.
You know, because a lot of these men, those are their trades. And so men that have trades, and I feel like, you know, we always think of the CEOs. Y eso es lo que las feministas
Yeah, they think of corporate jobs. That's what they think of.
Yeah, that's what they think of. Las feministas quieren que los numbers sean los mismos in the CEO position. Well, ¿quién no va a querer tener dinero? You know? Pero a ver, eso es verdad. A ver, que alguien se vaya a meter a un drain, a destapar un caño, o sea, que alguien vaya
go to the top of the Empire State Building and clean those windows.
Yes. O la electricidad, you know?
Like
high volumes of voltages. Entonces, I'm thinking, no.
War.
Queremos perks.
Dude, even in war, if there's a draft, it's not going to be you and me.
No. We get a choice.
We get a choice.
They don't.
It's going to be Joel.
Yeah.
It's going to be the men. You know, you're in a ship. What do they say? Women and children first.
Yeah.
The men are the ones that are, they're with that mindset of, all right, we're going to save the women and children. The men are going to stay on board. You guys have the capacity to see if maybe you guys survive or not.
Yeah. Y te imaginas nada más, ponte a pensar. Dios los creó a los hombres con esa mentalidad de sacrificio. Si toca un día morirme por proteger a mi familia, está bien. So, I mean, I think you and I saw a meme the other day of like, a man realizes she loves the woman when he's willing to protect her and die, right? Put his life on the edge for her. That's how deep God connected men to service. They're willing to die for a higher cost or for a higher cause, right? Us women, we're always... O sea, no dudo que haya mujeres out there, especially when you're protecting your children. Yes, I know my mom would give her life in a heartbeat. And I would give my life for a baby. I would give my life for those I love. Eso lo entiendo. Pero hombres, for the most part, I feel, would give their life for the common good. For the higher cause. You know? Entonces, por eso es que es mujeres y niños primero. Porque los hombres, they're already... Or where, ahorita a lo mejor no. They were manufactured by God to think, si llega un guerra, si llega un natural disaster, yo voy a proteger. Los hombres protegemos. Los hombres salimos a pelear. Los hombres salimos a cubrir, you know. Entonces, ¿te imaginas una sociedad donde los hombres digan, ay, no quiero? Now we're like, and that's what's happening. What's happening is that now you have men that don't want to step up to their role because there's really no incentive to do so.
Right.
Entonces tienes a mujeres que they're stepping up to the role y por eso peor aún
la
sociedad.
Yeah.
Se crea una sociedad donde, ok, entonces las mujeres sí pueden ser esto y pueden hacer aquello y sí se puede. Pero is that design? I don't think so. I don't think that's design. And so I think to start wrapping it up, you know, to start closing it up, I think that we need to do better by men. I think we as women, we play an important role. I feel like it might sound like we're, what do they call it? Toxic masculinity or whatever. But I do think that the sooner we realize that our roles are different,
Yes.
that we both have good things we can be good at, and sharpen those skills, the better it will be for society. However, I do think that this is just a sign that Jesus is coming, that society can and will get worse, and so I guess for our audience is just treat the men around you right, appreciate them, the work they do. And the world men live in is also very different from the world women live in. And, men have a different reality than women. And so I think that also should help us understand them better.
I think for me, from what I take out of all of this is, we have to find appreciation to understand that man was made in the image of God. Adam was God's creation, but if we look to the attributes that the Father has, we can see in him that he's the perfect model. He is the protector. He is the provider. He is the healer, but he's also loving. He's also this, and I think that's where we confuse the roles, and we I don't know why we immediately go to the misogynistic, very stereotypical and very
macho,
extreme in the spectrum of what a man looks like. Yes, are there toxic and men that should not behave the way they're behaving? 100%. Just like there are women that are abusive and are aggressive. But if you look at what it's really supposed to look like, we have to look at the Bible. We have to look at what the attributes of the Father are. And when we pray and when we go to God for things, we know that in him we can find our protection, we can find our shield, we can find our comfort, we can find our reassurance. If it really was supposed to be the woman to be the model for everything, God would have been a woman. Jesus would have been a woman. And I know society, even in that, is trying to change that. Oof. God is a woman, right? But the reality is him, Father, he created us in that way to understand that there is not just a model, but there is a plan, there is a purpose in why we were created, that we were created. And, I know a lot of women, they focus on the fact that they don't like hearing that woman was made for the glory of man. But the reality is, when we work together within our roles and everything is in harmony, I believe bring glory to God of this is how it was supposed to work. The family unit, this is how it's supposed to be. And so to me, I think what I take from the meme is, or the reel, is just, how am I in my marriage helping, in giving him his place.
Right.
And in being okay with being led, so that when we have our children, they can understand and enjoy how amazing it is to have a father in their lives.
Amen.
And in the interactions that I have with the men around me, am I truly appreciating them, or am I belittling them?
Yeah.
Am I, trying to prove to everybody that I can and I'm capable, or am I understanding we have roles?
Yeah.
And so that's what we have for you guys today. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know whether you agree, disagree, whether we missed something. There's always something that we missed. But we hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.